The Haunting of Maple Street. In the quiet town of Willow Creek, a seemingly innocent street holds a dark secret that has terrified its residents for decades. Maple Street, once a place of joy and laughter, became the center of chilling events when the Johnson family moved into an old house in 1978. What began as small, unexplained occurrences soon escalated into a haunting that would change their lives forever. As they uncovered the tragic history of their home, they realized they were not alone, and the whispers of the past were more than just echoes. Join us as we delve into the eerie tale of the haunting of Maple Street. In the summer of 1978, the Johnson family moved into a charming old house on Maple Street in Willow Creek. At first, everything seemed perfect. The sun shone brightly, children played in the yard, and the neighbors welcomed them with open arms. However, as the days turned into weeks, strange things began to happen. It started with little things: the family dog barking at nothing, doors creaking open on their own, and the faint sound of whispers echoing through the halls at night. At first, they shrugged it off as the quirks of an old house, but soon the atmosphere shifted from welcoming to unsettling. One evening, while the family was gathered in the living room, a loud crash echoed from the kitchen. They rushed to investigate, only to find that a stack of dishes had inexplicably toppled over. The parents exchanged worried glances, but the children laughed it off, thinking it was just a harmless prank. As the weeks went by, Sarah, the youngest daughter, began to talk about her imaginary friend. She claimed that the friend lived in the attic and often played with her when no one was around. The family thought it was adorable, a sign of her vivid imagination. But then Sarah started saying things that chilled them to the bone. "Johnny says he doesn't like it when Mommy and Daddy fight," she would say, her big eyes wide with innocence. The parents dismissed it, attributing it to her childish perspective. But the tension in the house grew as the unexplained phenomena intensified. The whispers became louder and more distinct, and the feeling of being watched was inescapable. One night, after a particularly disturbing day, Sarah didn't come down for dinner. They called for her, but there was no response. Panic set in as they searched the house, calling her name. Finally, they found her in the attic, sitting cross-legged on the floor, staring blankly at the wall. When her parents asked what she was doing, she simply smiled and said, "Waiting for Johnny." Frightened, they brought her back downstairs, but the unease lingered. From that night on, Sarah's behavior changed. She became withdrawn and spoke less about her imaginary friend, but she would often be found staring out the window, as if waiting for someone. The parents decided to investigate the history of the house, hoping to find some answers. They learned that the house had a dark past. Years ago, a young boy named Johnny had lived there and tragically lost his life in an accident. The details were vague, but it was said that he loved playing hide and seek and often roamed the house looking for friends. The Johnsons couldn't shake the feeling that Sarah was somehow connected to this boy. One stormy night, the family was jolted awake by a deafening crash. The lights flickered and the room plunged into darkness. The parents rushed to Sarah's room, but she was gone. Panic set in as they searched the house, calling her name. Finally, they found her in the attic again, but this time she was not alone. A shadowy figure loomed beside her, whispering softly. Terrified, the parents grabbed Sarah and fled the house, leaving everything behind. They moved to another town, hoping to escape the horror that had unfolded on Maple Street. But the trauma lingered, and Sarah often woke in the middle of the night, screaming about Johnny and the shadows. Years later, the Johnsons returned to Willow Creek, hoping to confront their fears. They learned that the house had been sold again and was now occupied by a new family. With trepidation, they approached the house, only to find that it looked just as it did when they left. The memories flooded back, and they could almost hear the whispers calling to them. Curiosity got the better of them, and they knocked on the door. The new family welcomed them inside, and as they stepped through the threshold, a chill ran down their spines. It felt as if time had stood still. They shared their story with the new owners, who listened intently but seemed skeptical. Days turned into weeks, and the Johnsons often returned to check on the new family. They noticed odd occurrences happening again, doors creaking, shadows flitting past the windows, and children whispering in the hallways. It seemed that the house had not lost its spirit. One day they received a call from the new family. The children had been having nightmares about a boy named Johnny and a dark figure in the attic. The Johnsons felt a mix of dread and sympathy. They offered to help, sharing their experiences and warning them about the dangers of the house. Despite their warnings, the new family decided to stay. They believed they could handle it, and they were determined to make the house their home. But soon, they too began to experience the chilling events that had haunted the Johnsons. Objects began to move on their own, and the children spoke of a friend named Johnny who wanted to play. As the days turned into months, the new family found themselves spiraling into fear. They could hear the whispers at night, the laughter in the halls, and the feeling of being watched became unbearable. Finally, one night, they decided to confront the spirit. They gathered in the attic, holding hands and calling out to Johnny. The air grew cold, and a sudden gust of wind swept through the room. The children screamed, and the parents felt a rush of dread. It was as if the house itself was alive, angry at their intrusion. They fled the attic, leaving the house behind, just as the Johnsons had done years before. Maple Street remains a place shrouded in mystery and fear. New families continue to move in, unaware of the dark history that lies within the walls. Those who have lived there share their stories, warning others to beware of the shadows that linger. The spirit of Johnny is said to still roam, looking for friends to play with, while the whispers in the night continue to echo through the streets. As night falls, if you find yourself on Maple Street, listen closely. You might hear the laughter of a child and the whispers of the past, urging you to join them in their eternal game. Are you brave enough to uncover the secrets of the house on Maple Street?